And I flunked out of college within 4 months, and I was thinking, maybe interior design, like I like to decorate my room and stuff like that, and I just like a chill space, but I could not survive in college.
Everyone thought I was like a total weirdo. Even my husband's like, you're playing with a doll head. This is weird.
So I guess I would just say, even on your worst day, being self-employed is often better than your best day being an employee somewhere. Just kind of stay tough.
I just want to start this, so side note, this is supposed to be super fun and kind of casual, but I just am so grateful that you guys are all here to the beauty panel networking night. I am Kate Burns. I am the owner of the Glam Beauty Company, and I have Lauren and Isabel that work with me as well. So that's our team, and I'm hosting tonight because I love the industry, and I've been doing hair for about 21, 22 years now. I specialize in women's hair replacement and hair extensions, and I just wanted to put together this awesome panel because I believe that over the past years that I've been in the industry, my initial thought of what I was going to do with the industry has changed, and it has kind of molded and shaped in different ways. And as I kind of introduce everybody that's on the panel, I think they all have an amazing story of kind of what they thought going into the industry, and then what they have really grown and transpired into. So this is really about inspiration and asking questions about things that maybe if you're starting out and you have questions about transitioning into being more of an educator or different aspects than necessarily being behind the chair. We also have amazing artists that are behind the chair that do great work on national teams. So it kind of can take you in different directions, and everybody has a little bit of a different story, but I just wanted to bring everybody together to showcase that. And we have honorary Alex, who is my social media guy. So if you do have any questions about social media, I'm sure he would love to share information about that as well. But we're just going to get started. I'm just going to kind of introduce, I do have some questions to ask each of the panelists, but if you guys have your own questions as we kind of move along, feel free to ask. If this is just kind of an open evening of inspiring and elevating in the industry and having fun. So, and if you guys need to get up and get another drink or more food, please feel free to do that throughout this event. So, all right? Okay, so I'm just going to start to go across. I don't know how everybody specifically got here tonight, probably a social media post or hearing about the event through word of mouth, but I'm just going to kind of talk through some of the panelists, and then we can just dive right into some of the questions as well. So we have Alexa. She is well known for her brows, and she does amazing microblading. She owns a specifically, you're on your phone now, you've transitioned into singularly, but you've owned a studio where she had multiple people that worked with her doing different aspects of the industry, between hair and massage, and she's kind of also elevated the industry now, kind of going into more of just inspiring people and being an influencer and kind of getting more into fashion as well. So we're very excited for you to be here tonight, and we'll get into more questions on that. So thank you for being here. Corinne is here, and she is very well known. Very well known for your balayage techniques. That's how I kind of looked up to you in the industry as well, with all the color techniques that you have done and put out there. She is on her own now, but worked with a large salon as well in the past. And she's on the behind the chair, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. She's on that team as well, which is national, local. Next up we have Nazreen. She is not necessarily in the hair realm, although she has amazing, beautiful hair, but she is the owner of lymphatic drainage, lymphatic Cleveland lymphatic, therapy. It's lymphatic drainage massage. I specifically go to her. So we're going to kind of dive into obviously what is important in massage and lymphatic massage, because I think it's important for hairdressers in general to make it a priority to have more self-care. So she recently opened up her own studio as well and works with another, you have a co-owner, and they have a couple girls there as well now, so that's exciting. Next up we have Taki. He is CPA and owns his own business, so I wanted to have him here tonight because I feel like a lot of people have questions about taxes. And it's something that doesn't sound super fun, but we're all kind of, I think, scared a little bit about it. So the conversations I've had with him are always enjoyable about like how to navigate that, whether you're sole proprietor ownership, whether you're an employee at a salon, things like that. So we're going to kind of dive into taxes a little bit. So I think that I'm excited about that.
Try to make them not scared.
What?
Try to make them not scared.
Yeah, try to make them not scared, exactly. Jay is actually someone I've known for a very long time. We went to beauty school together at Brown Beta and Mentor. He was a year ahead of me, or a class ahead of me, I should say. And so yeah, so I've known Jay for a long time. And he is our local Hattori Hanzo shear rep. Obviously, you have been with Hanzo for a long time. I educate for Hattori Hanzo shears, so does Theo, and it's just nice to kind of have a sales rep aspect side of it to kind of introduce, you know, how he transitioned from being actually a hairstylist behind a chair into more of repping for the salons and the stylists as well. So questions about shears or, you know, that aspect of the industry, we'll be talking about that coming up. Then we have Theo. Theo and I work together with a company called Hairskin. So Theo is an artist and an educator with Hairskin. It's a men's hair replacement line. And he just recently opened up his own premier studios where he teaches and does men's hair replacement. So that's pretty exciting.
He's also an instructor at the school, department.
Oh, yes. All right, perfect. Yes, so we'll get into all the different facets of your job that we have coming up. And then we have Jocelyn. Jocelyn is Updos by Jocelyn on social media, is how I kind of originally came to know her, and then getting to know her more and interviewing her. Did anybody see the interviews that we were posting with some of the, yes, maybe, no, okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes. I actually wanted to take the time to kind of like have interviews with some of the people that we had time to record the interviews, and then I had to edit them, post them, everything. But I wanted to give some people that were viewing it kind of a background of some of their stories, and that obviously I found them inspiring. So having some of that. But Jocelyn, she, you know, she graduated from school and didn't really like being behind the chair as much, found the love for updos, and has really like made a complete career out of that, which I think is awesome, and is working with some very major brands that we can discuss in a little bit, and also kind of how to pivot yourself if you're somebody that is interested in wanting to get yourself in front of these big brands, like different ways to kind of like present yourself and make that something that is visible. So we are so thankful for all of you guys to be here. And yeah, let's get started with some questions. And again, if you guys have your own questions, please ask. It's just going to kind of be a free-flowing scenario, and let's have some fun. What?
She said she never faked him, I swear to
Oh.
God.
All right, well, let's start. Let's start. Which is yeah.
Hello?
I don't think I've ever spoken on a microphone.
Okay, well, this was funny because we literally, I was like, all right, if there's gonna be people here, I want to make sure everybody, this might be a little overkill in this small setting, but we actually bought the speaker. Oh, really? Oh, I'm glad you can hear it. But we were literally playing around with it upstairs, and we're like, hey, we should have karaoke. There you go.
I need song requests, let us know.
Yes.
After
Not for me, yeah. Okay, so let's start to talk about maybe a little bit about your story and like kind of how you transitioned into doing the types of hair coloring that you like to do.
Okay, is this loud? Can you hear me?
Yes.
It feels like it goes in and out, it's kind of weird. You can't hear me. Okay. How far back from this was?
So you're, to
Well, I was
me,
born in 1984. Actually, it's relevant because my mom was a hairdresser. But my mom was not doing like cool hairdresser hair. It was like she was trying to raise kids and like do curls and roller sets and stuff. Like she was just trying to make some good side money, and so I wasn't really inspired by that. So I went off to college. Like I definitely always wanted to do. Yeah. And I flunked out of college within 4 months, and I was thinking, maybe interior design, like I like to like decorate my room and stuff like that, and I just like a chill space, but like I could not survive in college. So my dad was like, hey, why don't you go check out the beauty school your mom went to, which was Fairview Beauty Academy, which is now Brown and Tie Spice. Or that's what I suppose. Yeah, great Thai food. But I feel like I just can't get past it. So I went into the beauty school and I just saw girls doing each other's nails and like talking and just kind of having like a good time. And I was just like, man, this is like, I never even thought of this, but it was amazing. So I was enrolled by Christmas, 2 months after I dropped out of college. So I was kind of in the MySpace days of like emo scene hair, and that was like really what inspired me. And I loved like accent pieces and just bleaching people out and turning them like crazy colors. So when I worked in Lakewood, that was great, but I just like did not like my boss. So actually I got fired. I called off on a Saturday, so don't do that. And I ended up at Charles Scott in Rocky River, which is where my mom was getting her hair done. Like everybody's mom was getting her hair done. I was just like, I don't know. That's kind of like river, a little, but honestly, I got to know the people really well, and I got a job there. I didn't have to assist because I was already working in Lakewood for a year, and I just got on the floor, which was huge. And they probably should have never let me do that. I learned my mistakes, and I kind of always took that edge of MySpace hair and just tried to kind of still bring it to, you know, the suburbs a little bit more. And some people went for it, some people didn't, you know. But when balayage started getting popular, I was already kind of a little bit more on the side of taking risks and experimenting. So it wasn't new to me to like be kind of like playing around with color. So even though it was scary, I knew that I liked doing it because it was just something different and a challenge. So I think just keeping and working at it and working on, you know, my friends and family and knowing that it might work, it might not work, but I could always fix it. So that's kind of what I do.
Yeah. Well, and I think, you know, you're on the behind the chair team, which I think a lot of people aspire to in the industry. That is like a major award and an accomplishment. And I think, how has that helped shape you with kind of like what you're doing behind the chair or posting or anything like that?
It was exciting. I think it was showing me that like my hard work on social media was paying off and I was starting to get recognized. But I think it also, especially after having children, kind of put a lot of pressure on me to want to keep up with that. And I feel like be careful what you wish for, because like once that success starts growing, like you can easily become overwhelmed, and even with the smallest obligations, it just feels like a lot, you know. So I wouldn't try to do it until you're actually ready to take on more work.
Because it's like a whole other job.
It is.
Yeah, being a part of a corporation.
You can't be 1 foot in on social media. It's like all or nothing.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. Well, thank you for that. Appreciate. Let's go to Nazreen.
I don't understand social media. I just posted a video of raccoons and it went viral. That were at my building. And I don't know how to do stuff myself with that.
We're not really sure how the algorithms work. Alex. No, but so I think it's super important what Nazreen does with lymphatic drainage massage. Do you think that you could kind of tell us a little bit of the importance of lymphatic massage and how does that differ between like a regular massage and maybe a lymphatic massage? I do feel like lymphatic massages have kind of become in the forefront of conversation when we talk about massage and everything. So what are the differences and why do you feel that's something that everybody could benefit from?
Yeah, so a lot of people now kind of feel like lymphatic drainage is trendy. Kate and I did an interview with the audio didn't work, so we did talk about
We
this.
recorded the whole thing and I was like going to edit it and I'm like, oh my god, there's no audio. Rookie move.
But the one thing is that I'm an occupational therapist. I've been doing lymphatic drainage over 21 years. So it's not anything new. It's just that actually technology has become so much more sophisticated that we're able to image the lymphatics a lot easier. And before we didn't know everything we knew. We thought lymphatic drainage would only be beneficial for people with lymphatic impairments. So it's only really been since COVID that they've learned that it's beneficial for everyone. Everybody has benefits. So lymphatic system's job is to help to support the immune system. It's going to get rid of waste products. Whether it's when you're sick, it's getting rid of toxins or bacteria or viruses, or just regular cellular debris. But we all have these waste products we want to get rid of out of our system. So lymphatic drainage versus a regular massage, we're using your body's natural lymphatic system to help to filter all of these waste products out of your system so you will be healthier. They're doing a lot more research recently with brain lymphatics too. And so by doing lymphatic drainage on the head and neck, people are actually having improved cognitive function, better cognition, including sleep. So it's all really neat. As far as some more of what we talked about, I'm just going to kind of let into that. For the beauty industry, I just know a lot of people are on their feet all day, right? You're standing all day. There could be potential that we may have not only lymphatic drainage, but also cardiovascular backup down at our feet, our ankles after standing all day. So some of that, when we're doing this rerouting fluid, it'll help if you're on your feet all day. But also, for everybody who's using their arms constantly, all day, that can actually block, if we have a lot of soft tissue restriction, it can actually block drainage to our lymph nodes in our neck and under our arm, which are some of our major areas where fluid will filter through. Sometimes people are saying, oh, I follow everything I see on social media and I still am puffy. But sometimes we have to release all of the tissue restriction that are causing problems. I myself actually still work at a cancer center. I started the oncology rehab program at Cleveland Clinic, and I'm starting one at Mercy right now. And so a lot of our cancer patients, oncology patients, are at risk for backup. So we see people across the spectrum, not just for health and wellness, but also with medical conditions that may need help.
Which I think is great. I specialize in women's hair replacement, so I deal with a lot of people going through cancer and needing wigs and such. So it's always nice to, I feel like, network and being behind the chair yourself when you have a client come in that might be dealing with an issue or something going on. You know, you have somebody that you can refer them to in that regard as well. So I think that's amazing. Yes. Thank you.
I think
Everyone can benefit, absolutely. And I mean, as hairdressers, we're on our feet all day. We have long hours. Sometimes we don't eat. And by the end of the day, we do have a lot of just like fluid buildup through overtime. So I think, you know, having self-care in the industry, like taking care of yourself, is major. And I think the lymphatic drainage massages are one of the ways to be able to do that. Okay, Taki, you have the microphone. I don't even know where to start. Does everybody here feel super comfortable with doing their own taxes?
No.
Okay.
Let me give you the good parts about being a business owner, because there's obviously stress that comes with it. But when I was hearing your story about, you know, you started with another salon and then you went off on your own, I think the stress of dealing with your taxes is more than made up by the joy you can have by controlling your own destiny. You're self-employed. You can set your own hours. You can control which patients you see, which clients you see, which ones you don't. That's across all my clients that are self-employed. So I guess I would just say, even on your worst day, being self-employed is often better than your best day being an employee somewhere. So it's kind of stay tough. When it comes to taxes, I'd say that the most common question you get is, what's deductible, what's not? Do I need to document?
Yeah, what can we write off?
Exactly. Just, before we started this, we got that question many times. I guess I would always just say, as long as you think about how do you justify the business purpose of something. And there's plenty of resources out there, ChatGPTs, tax professionals, of course, your colleagues, your friends. And I would just say try to get multiple opinions about something. Don't just trust one source. I get a lot of questions from, oh, I watched this Instagram video or YouTube video, and I'm like, they're maybe speaking a little bit too generally. So, but a couple of things that came up were health insurance premiums. It's the number one thing that I see missed on tax returns. People who come in new, and I say, look at me, we see your prior year returns. Home office deductions, right? Certainly you might be renting space to do your work, but if you're at home doing your social media, you're scheduling, documenting your expenses and your income, you can still deduct home office deduction in addition to the rent of the booth or the area that you're doing with. When it comes to travel, it's another thing that came up recently. As long as there's some business purpose to the trip, you can often claim some of the trip as deductible. So these are just kind of some examples that we see that people aren't aware of. If you guys have a specific question, then I can answer.
Yeah, no, that's great. I was gonna say, I think you just answered it as what are the most common tax mistakes you see beauty professionals and salon owners making? And I think it's not being aware of what you can kind of put as an expense, right? And they're not taking advantage of some of that. Yeah, but I think that's great. If anybody's got any questions, you're more than welcome to jump into and ask questions. So we'll move on to Jay.
So just to piggyback off that,
Yeah.
you can write off your shoes. But also we provide education all throughout the United States. So I facilitate education in Cleveland and surrounding areas. But if you decide you want to attend a class in a different city or state, we have on any given weekend, we have about over 100 classes going on. So you can attend a class, say, in Miami or Los Angeles, and if you'd like to go on, say, a trip and attend a class, I know that's so things we learn every day. So half of the people in here I already know. Those who don't know me, my name's Jay. I'm the Fonzo rep over Cleveland area. So I go about as far west as Sandusky, about as far east as Erie, Pennsylvania, and down to Youngstown and Columbus as well. So I have a pretty big territory. I've been with Fonzo since 2014. So quite a while. Took a brief hiatus when my son was born in 2000, just kind of stuck me back in. But yeah, I've been doing this quite a while. Like Kate said, I'm a hairdresser by trade. I've been doing this quite a while. Kate wanted me to talk about why I made the jump from being a hairdresser into being a rep. It wasn't planned. I was doing hair, and I worked in the restaurant business for a really long time. I don't know if you guys remember the Greenhouse Tavern, but my good friend Jonathan was the chef owner of the Greenhouse, and I worked with him for years. And so it was one of those things where I was doing hair, and I was making such good money at the restaurants. I wanted to do both. I love doing hair. The money in the restaurant was so good. And plus all the perks, Greenhouse Tavern was right next to the House of Blues. So I got to go to a lot of the concerts for free, go backstage and meet some of the artists and stuff, which was really cool. But I had been working at a salon, and I guess I kind of got burned out behind the chair, which we're all familiar with. And it wasn't my intention to find another job, but it just so happened that I received an email from Hattori Hanzo saying, hey, come work for the best shear company in the world. And I had already owned the shears. So I knew it was a good product. And I figured, what the heck, you know, I could go for a change. So I was in a Skype interview. We used Skype back to back then. I was in a Skype interview like the next day, and they hired me 2 days later, and I never looked back. When I first got into it, it was a little difficult making the transition, but there were so many people that I knew that were hairdressers that wanted me to come visit them so that they could find new shears, or if I could take a look at their shears because they need them sharpened or whatever. I got such an influx of people wanting me to stop by their salon that it kind of just happened naturally. I started off pretty quickly, and then about 8 months into it, I became one of the head salespeople. So when I first started there were about 25 reps throughout the United States, and now we have about 150. So the company has grown pretty significantly within the past 15 or so years. But I really enjoy what I do because I always say this in my classes. Both my parents were teachers. My dad was an art teacher. My mom was a kindergarten teacher, so I was very passionate about education from the get-go. When I was doing hair, I used to work for a Bumble salon, and I used to educate for Bumble and Bumble, which was a really great opportunity for me to kind of get my feet planted in the educational aspect of things. But when I started working for Hanzo and found out that they provided education for hairstylists, I thought, this is great, it's the best of both worlds. I can still be involved in the hair world and still do the sales aspect of it. And it just became like the perfect job for me. It was a perfect combination of everything. I kind of jumped on the educational aspect of it and ran with it. I met Pat. If you guys don't know Pat, Pat's in the back. Pat owns West Park Barbershop, all the collection of West Park Barbershops, salon, school, and many other ventures as well. If you don't know Pat, I highly recommend introducing yourself to him because Pat and I, we got to know each other and just kind of hit it off from the get-go. He's a great person to know if you're in the industry, one of the hardest workers out of anybody that I've ever come in contact with, not just in the airport. But this job for me was a lot about networking, meeting new people. There's nobody that goes into more salons and barbershops than me, and on a daily, on a weekly basis. On average, I've kind of weighed it out over the years. I think I've had about 4,000 customers on a weekly basis. Well, on a daily basis, I try to go anywhere from 15 to 22 salons a day, salons and barbershops. I know everybody's like, oh, how do you do it? You gotta put your pants on, you gotta have a sense of urgency. So
Like, hi, I have your shears, hey.
well, it's like a lot of people don't realize that there's a lot that goes into being a rep for my company, because I'm not just going to a couple salons a day. And if I do go into a salon, there's something where there may be an instance where I get held up because someone dropped their shears and didn't tell me about it, and I didn't block time for that. So if you ask me to stop into your salon on a certain day or within a couple days, you know, give me a little bit of grace, because you know, if you ask me to come in on a Tuesday at 3 o'clock, between 3 and 4 o'clock, it's probably not going to happen, just because I have so many places that I need to be. But I try to hit, you know, as many places that I can. So the best way to do that, I actually have an app that's called Road Warrior. It's really cool. If you guys do a lot of driving, it's an awesome app to have. Basically, I'll type in the areas that I need to go into, and it'll map it out and give me a driving map so that I can maximize the amount of places that I go to on a given day or week. Do you have any questions? Or?
One of the questions I had was, you know, what's the biggest shift you've watched happen in the industry from your seat as a rep?
So, like I said, I have been doing this a long time. I would definitely say the biggest shift would be from people working for salon owners to being their own owners, making the jump from being an independent artist. Hey, how you doing?
Sorry.
Oh, you're good. You want to join us?
I was listening in.
Oh, okay. Yeah, me too. No, definitely stylists making the jump The biggest thing though that I have noticed is that a lot of people, when they do make the jump, don't realize how difficult it is to be on your own. And so they kind of have to find their way. So there's a lot of, once they make the jump from working in a salon for a salon owner to being their own boss, or working in an independent space, it's finding the right one for you. Because even though you might be on your own, there's still a lot of hoops you might have to jump through, or a lot
And
of
you still
drama.
work, and you still work with people. Even though you might be your own
Right.
boss, you still work around
You still have to
people.
work with people, and it only takes one bad egg. So if you're surrounded by negativity, it's just gonna emanate, and, you know, you might think you're in a better place, and sometimes it's just not the right one for you. So
Yeah.
do your research, I always tell people.
And I'm gonna jump in real quick because I do think it's important to have a healthy work environment around you. And I went from being an employee at my first salon to then being a co-owner, and we had like 25 employees. And then when I made the shift from that space into going out on my own completely, I never wanted to actually work on my own though. So for me, it was definitely something where I wanted to create a good team around me and start from the ground up doing that. So that was super important, and I think that's kind of like where some of you were talking to about your work experience maybe in the beginning was not the most desirable situation, so you kind of like felt like going out on your own was the right, move, but sometimes it makes it harder. Because then you are working completely on your own and shifting and navigating having kids and, running a business and all that. So it is very important to make sure you have a good team around you, even if you are.
Planning, definitely planning.
Yeah.
A lot of times, you might think you'd be in a better situation, but the grass isn't always greener on the other side. You don't have the proper planning and information
Yeah.
in place that you need.
Do we have salon owners? Is everybody kind of their own independent? Are you working?
Salon lumps.
Salon loss? Are people that work? Do you work for somebody? Work for a salon? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So there's kind of a mix of people, whether you own your own space or you're working as an employee and working with a group of people. So I think it's important, no matter what avenue you're in, to have people with good energy.
And before I pass the mic here to Theo, if anybody's interested, like I said, I facilitate all the education. We have multiple artists, not just local, but from all over the place, that do all kinds of hair. We have, obviously Kate's an artist for us, and she does the hair pieces. We have Theo, who does the men's. Pat, who is one of the best barbers I've ever met. We also have people who do extensions. We have people that do specialize in curly hair. We have people that specialize in straight hair. We have people that specialize in clippering. Like you name it, we have somebody that teaches a class for us. So if you're interested in hosting at your salon, or you know somebody that wants to host, please reach out to me, make contact with me, because like I said, I facilitate all the education in the area, and there's nothing better than being able to bring something that you're passionate about to an area that you're from, and especially having it be for free. Because a lot of times, I've been to hair shows, everyone's been to the hair shows before. That shit gets expensive, paying for education, and a lot of times the education that you get, when you do pay, you have to buy a bunch of product from these color companies, whatever. Then they'll bring in the education, but then they have this curriculum that you didn't necessarily want to see or take or whatever. They'll bring in the education and say, okay, well, I didn't really get what I wanted to see. We customize the education around you. So whatever you want, you get it, right?
Yeah.
So, and like I said, I can put you in contact with all kinds of artists. If you want to do men's cuts, you want to do the hair pieces, the hair replacement, you can do all of that. I know Kate, I've worked with Kate multiple times on doing the hair pieces and extension application. So we can do extension cutting as well. I've actually done coloring class too, because we now have Duo, which is our sister company, which provides coloring services and products as well. So.
Awesome. Thank you, Jay.
Yeah, thank you.
Theo, how's it going back there? All right, so you just had a video that went viral. You're in the men's hair replacement, and for everybody that were Cavs fans, you took a video on the guy's 2K flying off. Are y'all familiar with that? Did you see that at the Cavs game? But anyways, Theo does men's hair replacement, and you kind of transitioned into that. So being a barber for how many years have you been a barber?
27 years.
27 years. Why do you think that you got into the men's hair replacement?
So, actually, because of you. 5 years ago, I quit my job where I was before. You advised that I've known.
Sorry.
Every time I say this story, I just. But I've known Pat for 16 years, right? But we never worked together. And we always had a connection to work together at some point. So I quit my job after 10 years, and first phone call I made was for Pat on the way to home. I was like, I need a barber chair to work in. And he's like, you're walking me and whatever. I took a week off and he offered me a job. I got a job. And then I was so bored during COVID, doing nothing, not making money, whichever. And then I came to Kate's Instagram, page, and I started doing hair skin. I was like, what's hair skin? So I dig into it. And then I said, you know what, I want to start separating myself from being a barber, just to stay in the barber industry, but do a hair replacement. And I joined hair skin, took a class, and then 5 years later, actually go back to the story between me and Pat, is I got a barber chair, old school barber chair during COVID. We were home doing nothing, so I took it apart, put a picture on Facebook, and Pat said, can I buy it from you? And I said, one day. That's what I said. And then that barber chair is in the basement where we own the barber shop, where Pat owned the barber shop. Long story short, we have the barber shop together. And after that, we started working together, well known, whatever. And what I love about Pat is he sees people what they do, including work and reward and whatever. And he said, one day we're gonna work together. And I put a goal to myself. I was like, 5 years from now, I want to open a shop, whatever the shop is, barber shop, salon, whichever. And then it meant to be hair replacement. And now we want me and that salon and Ronald called salon and shop. My hair replacement business is leaving. But now we have a goal to be the next, best hair replacement business in Cleveland, in Ohio, and then go over, because now we have hair club folks. Hair club are big in the industry. My goal is to be the next hair. And I came from a background where I didn't speak any English back in the days. I've been here for 16, 17 years. For me to be here is an honor. Thank you, Kate, for inviting us, inviting me in particular. So I'm excited. I'm excited about what's going to bring to Cleveland, as part of also back home the barber school. We educated the barbers. So.
Let's just say you are a teacher and educator at the school as well. Yes. So how do you feel about transitioning from being on the professional side behind the chair with your clients to then having to find the patience to teach up-and-coming students at the barber school as well?
Yeah, so what I love about that, because where I came from, nobody taught me. And I taught myself. Back home, we don't have schools, we just, self-taught. We start sweeping the floor first, and then we go back to the neck duster, this and that, whatever. So when Pat, introduced me to the barber school, and he offered me the job and whatever, I was honored to be that part of the barber school, and then each generation, barber generation, to know, the community, how we help the community. Because at our school, we go to help people homeless, we go to shelters, we help them, give them fingers. What I love about Pat is me, myself, and Pat in particular in the school, we are big on helping the community. And then that's what I love about working in West Park, part of West Park for the long term. Help the barbers know what's helping the community essentially these days.
Yeah. So obviously, I am not a barber. I have attended many of the barber events over the past years just to support, and I'm always fascinated by like all the artistry that goes into clipper cutting and like all of the men's cuts. Even though my boyfriend's here, I don't cut his hair, but. But do you think that one of the questions I wanted to ask was the barber world moves differently than the salon side? What would stylists learn from how barbers build clientele and culture?
I mean, like, we build the community relationship with the customers. Some people, like, want to come to barbershop sometimes, they don't know what good hair look like, what bad hair look like. They're looking for consistency, conversation you have behind the chair. See, like, something different, happens, conversation between salon, like, the lady will do hair color or whatever.
Yeah.
But barbers, I feel like, it was a barbers a place where people come in, search stories, and spend hours and hours, in the barbershop waiting for a customer and next whatever. And I remember, like, at Westmark, for example, like that, and like the old school, like you had to go in the shop. I know people used to wait like 3 hours for it, right? And they just build communication, community, and help people. And I feel like the consistency that we carry behind the chair is the key,
Yeah, so for sure consistency.
Absolutely.
I mean, I do agree with that.
And the customer service, like also customer service, number one key when it comes to our
So taking care of your clients in a positive, respectful way, and also being able to produce consistently good services is one of the things that builds a clientele and keeps them coming back.
100%.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. All right, thank you so much.
Can I say it first?
Yeah, you can say it. All right, Jocelyn, how are you? Good. So I love your story on, and I'll have you, kind of reiterate that a little bit, but you were behind the chair, didn't really love it, and I love that you found passion and something in upstyling. And it's interesting because I always feel like when I looked at it in the industry, it was more or less you were behind the chair and then you did upstyling if you had to, or if it was a prom, or for a wedding, or something like that. So the fact that you have built such a wonderful career out of upstyling, I think is amazing. So if you want to talk a little bit more about that, that would be awesome, kind of like how you transitioned into that.
Okay, so I went to hair school while I was in high school. My mom kind of pushed me that route so I'd have something to fall back on. And I just agreed to go because I'm like, it might be cool to learn how to style my own hair. So looking back, it was always the styling for me that drew me to hair, but I don't think it's talked about a lot in the cosmetology school, at least at the one I went to, about different routes you could take. Like I felt like leaving cosmetology school, there's one path you take and it's you go get a job in a salon and you do all services there. And so that's what I did. And going to work at the salon, I just feel like, more power to you if you love that life, but it's not for everybody. It's not for every personality type. There's so many different services to offer, and there was someone I was talking to at the start of the night here about that had just started in new cosmetology that, I asked, what is your favorite service to do, and they didn't know yet, and I said, you got to try everything before you know. And so that's what I did at the salon. I tried a little bit of everything, and I loved prom day. And so that was one day I looked
You love it or hate it.
Yeah, I love prom day. I love homecoming, and I guess no one ever really told me, you could make a whole career out of that. So I looked forward to those 2 days of the year. But in a salon, you don't get a whole lot of brides that walk into a salon. At least we didn't. And so there were so many days at the salon that I just dreaded. I would look at my schedule in the morning and see I have 2 full highlights to do. Today's gonna suck. That's how I felt. And I I never loved like the highlighting, the bleach, like more power to you. You know, it's stressful to me, which is funny because a lot of people say that about bridal, that it's stressful. So it's like, we all have our thing, but I think it's so important to try a little bit of everything and like listen to your heart. If there's a service that you hate offering, like don't offer it. And so it really took, you know, I had like a big change in my life when I was 17 when I started doing hair. I worked in the salon for a few years. When I was 20, I found out I was pregnant. That was unexpected. And one of you mentioned like how the grass is not always greener, right? So true. So I was at a salon at the time that I didn't enjoy the atmosphere at all. I switched to somewhere where I would be a like independent contractor. I'm like, this is gonna be good. When I have a baby, I can make my own schedule and all the things. So grass was not greener there, I can tell you that. I started there, and the salon owner that I worked for, she like gave me a very hard time about my schedule. I would leave partway through the day to like take care of my baby, you know, for the men in the room, I'm sorry, but like breastfeed break, go back. And she told me, she's like, you cannot leave during the day anymore. You need to set your hours, you cannot leave. And I'm like, well, then I quit today. So I left, and when I left, I had absolutely no intention of being in the hair industry anymore. I wasn't finding joy there. I just did not like I thought salon life is the only way it could be, and I did not like that, and I just wanted to be with my kids more. So I went home, and that was in 2012. So 2019 comes around. So that was like a long break, not doing much hair. You know, I do like my mom's hair stuff at home. Kept up with my license, where if you ever feel like you need a break in the industry, keep up with your license in case you change your mind someday. Keep it active. Yeah, so I kept up with my classes. I kept renewing my license, all the things. And in 2019, I had 2 kids by then. My youngest was 6 years old, and I decided, you know, I'm ready to do something for me again. So I thought about what in the industry brought me joy. And I thought about like the prom days and the homecoming, and I just decided, like, I can't just jump into this without more practice, because in the salon, you just don't get a lot of practice doing updos. I think that's what makes it so stressful, is because it's like once in a blue moon you're doing an updo, you like don't even know, they're gonna show you some picture and you don't even know like where to start. So I decided I was gonna order myself a mannequin head with hair and start to just practice at home. So in 2019 I did that, and I started my Instagram page, which is Updos by Jocelyn now. And I started watching videos online of bridal hairstyles and just practicing these techniques on my mannequin and taking pictures of like the styles I did. And it's like, I'm gonna start my own bridal hair business. And so that's like what I did. I launched my business, Updos by Jocelyn, and I started posting pictures of these styles I did on my mannequin head onto my Instagram to try to promote to brides in the Cleveland area. Everyone thought I was like a total weirdo. Even my husband's like, you're playing with a doll head. I'm like, this is weird. But, you know, I didn't even really see the vision of where that could take me at the time. I just knew that that's like what I had fun doing. And when I would do a cool style, I honestly could not wait to post a picture of it, because I felt proud of like the art that I created. And I just, even if like nobody even cared, I was like, I'm gonna show this to the world because this is my art. And so I really, really liked watching these hairstyling tutorials. Like I felt that it was really like therapeutic in a way. And so I decided, you know, then COVID started, 2020, and I spent a lot of time watching these tutorials and practicing and trying to grow my craft. And I thought, I like watching these videos so much, I want to try to do this myself and make some videos. So I just, you know, I set up in my dining room. I dare you, look far back on my page, you'll see my whole dining room. And I would film like myself doing a tutorial, and I thought this would be a good way to even just remember the techniques that I'm learning along the way to film. I started learning how to edit these videos, and it's insane what a learned skill that is in itself. Because looking back at my videos in 2020, you know, they're so choppy and like not easy to watch. So just to make like them really flow and be smooth, like that is a whole job in itself.
Alex can tell you all about that.
Right? But I loved doing that and filming, and I didn't even know at the time, but when you post, you attract what you post. So when I started posting hair tutorials, I didn't even realize this at the time, but I started pulling in an audience of people who wanted to learn how to do bridal hairstyling, more so than brides themselves. And so I started getting inquiries from salons in the local area, like, hey, would you come into the salon and maybe do a demo for the stylists of some updos? And so I was so scared the first time I was asked to do that. It's like, why not? I'm gonna go do it. And I just found so much joy when I was there, just sharing like, so I think so many people think bridal hairstyling is scary, and I think the biggest thing is we overcomplicate it and we let our kind of fear get in the way of just, you know, doing good
Well, I will have to say, your videos make it look very easy.
So that's my favorite part about teaching. I loved like when I could take the fear out of it, give you a couple simple things you could turn to when you're in the position that you need to do an updo. And I just, yeah, I found like that was where I was meant to be with this, is in education. So that's like my biggest part of the industry now.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
And so you work with some bigger brands, and how were you able to position yourself in front of them? Did they reach out to you to kind of like collaborate together?
So a little bit of both. As I started filming these tutorials, you know, that really puts you in a unique kind of sales position where, you know, people want to know when you're doing something and you're really passionate about it, like, what did you use to do this? So I would show a different product that I used in this video, and I would talk about why that helped me. And then that could help brands to see what you can offer them as far as education goes. So I think like just like when you learn hair, you have to do so much practice to get good at your craft, right? It's almost like you do a lot of free work along the way until you get to really what's gonna pay your bills. It was the same thing with content creation. I would shout out some different brands of the products I was using, why I loved it, and I would tag them. I would tag them in my stories. I would tag them in my captions. I would send them a DM about what I liked about this product. And really, I find this now, like, you know, with my own Instagram, the way it is now, I have like a lot of people that consistently comment on my posts, and you start to recognize names of who's engaging with you a lot. And so thinking of it from a brand's perspective, it's the same thing. They're reading these comments. When you are, it's almost like, how do you put yourself in a room with these brands? You put yourself in the room with them by engaging in their space. So when you go to these brands and you're engaging in their comments and you're consistent and you're talking, you know, to them in their DMs, you're tagging them, you're sharing their stories, you're engaging, they start to get a recognition to your name over time. Like your face becomes familiar. And that puts you in a position that you're almost like a friend of the brand. And so that was one way that I got close with some different brands. And I remember asking a couple educators at the time, because I remember seeing some people in the industry that were doing what I'm doing now, and thinking, one day I think I just decided, it's like, that's what I'm gonna do. That's what I wanna do. They inspired me, so I started to study, like, what did they do? How did they get to where they are now? And I remember asking a couple of them at the time, like, I feel like I'm annoying these brands by like tagging them all the time and messaging, and they're like, no, they love that. Like, they want people out there promoting and talking about them. Like, you can't honestly do it enough. And I'm like, that's good to know. So kept up with it, and then over time, when they build that recognition, and then you show them too what you can offer them with how you can share their products, how you can boost their sales, things like that, then they started reaching out to me too. That was really cool. Like there's a couple brands like that I work with the most consistently, and like really, you know, don't do this for just anyone. Like if there's something like that you absolutely believe in and you love, talk about it. And so like a couple brands that I work with that I really love and stand by is the Babelist Pro team. I'm on their education team. I create content for them. I also work as a brand rep for them, so I can relate with you in a way, Jay, where I travel to different stores. Like I go into Ulta stores and I talk about the products to people that are shopping. I set up my mannequin head. I like do demos of the tools. There are so many different ways to be a part of this industry where it's like, it's kind of cool because I have like ADD and I absolutely hate doing like one thing for too long. So I do like a tiny bit of everything. So it's just like so fun, but that's my biggest tip for if you want to work with brands, put yourself in the room with them and like harass the crap out of them. They will like, they'll know you eventually.
I'd like to add something.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I know what she was talking about stressful. So a funny story about when I started with hair systems. When you do a hair system, you have to tell your client not to take a shower for 24 hours. Head shower. You can take a body shower, it's fine. 2 o'clock in the morning, the guy texts me a picture in the shower. His hair system all the way up. Half naked. I was like, why actually? It's 2 o'clock in the morning. So it was stressful. And I thought, but I learned lessons. Don't give up. Push yourself, do it, learn. Mistakes happen, whatever. And from there.
I hope you learned to put your phone on do not disturb at night.
Yes, I always do it actually. It's all right now. Don't take a shower.
We're gonna get to Alexa. Funny story about Alexa and I. She was actually one of my hair extension models. How many years ago? I don't know.
At least like 10.
At least 10 years.
Yeah.
Yes, it was one of the Hanzo cutting classes, I think, on hair extensions I did that many years ago. So it's so awesome to see you transpiring into what you are today and what you're going to become. Tell us a little bit more about like how you got into brows, because you're kind of known in Cleveland for your brows, and then what's coming up in the future? Like what do you want to transition into with having your own space now and talking about fashion and all of that?
Well, I went to anthropology school like 10 years ago, which was when I met Kate, and she came and spoke at Brown Veda, and I just thought she was hot shit. Still is. And I don't know, when I was in cosmetology, honestly, I always kind of wanted to do something cool and be something cool. I mean, if you guys want to get real deep. I was taken out by children's services from my mom's home when I was 17 years old. And from 17 until I went to cosmetology school, I did all the things. I just did everything that I could. I worked in retail, I worked at a car dealership, I worked at a tattoo shop. I think at the tattoo shop was when I realized that I was like super into aesthetics. I was a piercer there, I saw a lot of things. But that was a little like edgy for me. I am a little edgy, but not all the way edgy. So, fast forward, I was doing a bunch of other things, ended up going to cosmetology school because I knew I wanted to be in the beauty space. Didn't like hair though, I just wanted to be in the beauty space. And then I was working at Dino Palmieri, I got my eyebrows done because they started doing it for $25. And I was so obsessed with it. Then I went to a class by this girl in Cleveland. It was like $1,500 the class. And when I graduated high school, I did hair for a little bit, but always kind of did brows on the side. And then brows just kept growing and growing. And I really kind of threw myself into it because at that time, it was super new to Cleveland. There was like 1 or 2 people doing it, literally, including the girl who did mine. And so I'm like, I've got to seize this opportunity and, be the it girl for brows, whatever. But honestly, I don't feel like I became like an it girl for brows until recently kind of. And I mean, all this stuff, you gotta like pour your whole heart and soul into it and do the that wasn't my only class that I took for brows. I took several more. I went to LA, I went to New York, I did all the things. I did New York Fashion Week and Miami School Week and all fun things and learned. You know, I think the big thing is you can never close your mind off to things. I'm a big believer that you're never a master. You're always learning. So I think with brows, I just kept learning, kept being open-minded about it, and kind of found my niche in the brow world. I think I really lean into a super hyper natural brow, which I don't think a lot of people do that. And I think, you know, I found my clientele with that. Might answer your questions.
Yes. So, and I was just saying, like, how now you are doing more of like fashion,
Yeah.
kind of getting into that, and where do you see that in the future taking you? Like, what are your aspirations moving forward?
I mean, I definitely have leaned into that like content creation space and found my niche with that too. Like I personally do really enjoy fashion and beauty and all those types of things, interior design, even all that. So, you know, I see myself really kind of continuing to lean into that because dealing with clients is a doozy.
Well, I think, you know, when we are all in an industry that is customer service oriented and, you know, you have to navigate certain personalities with clients and things like that. And sometimes they can like take the wind out of your sails and sometimes it can be very uplifting. And I know you do some brows for cancer patients and people that are getting ready to go through chemo. So that is also, I would assume, very rewarding and fulfilling.
Yeah. I mean, it would be really cool if at some point or another, you know, it'd be really cool to start with a nonprofit or something like that and get something going. The reason why I went to high school really is because I knew I wanted to help women. That was the big picture. Help people, help women, whatever. So that's super rewarding. And the beauty side of things is that I can give back to people who really need it and just need to feel a little bit of like normalcy for a moment. So that would be really cool for the future of brows and like the beauty side of things for me. Which is, as far as clients go, by the way, I love you, Megan.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
let me give you a shout out.
Yes, am I in the room?
No, but I think that's amazing, and you know, the reason again that I wanted to bring everybody in was to just be inspiring, and hopefully you guys are, you know, learn something, or maybe you're in a position where you are feeling frustrated, and it was, you know, supposed to help kind of like give you options of being behind the chair too. Maybe you're loving the industry, you just want to network and continue to grow. Like I said, I've been in the industry about 21 years, and I totally agree that even though I've been specializing in hair extensions and hair replacement for 21 years, I'm constantly still going to classes. There's always something that I know that I can take from a certain scenario, and I'm always open-minded to learning and growing, and that's what I love, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to host this event. So everybody can collaborate and, you know, grow and just be inspiring to the industry. So if you guys have any questions, but final, I guess, question for the panelists is there anything that you guys learned from somebody else that was like a key point tonight?
Yes,
Yeah.
I did look for her actually because like reaching out to brands and communicate with them, you have to know who you are, being consistent, not saying you are actually willing. Reaching out to them to be where she is, and just follow her. I found out she had 160,000 people. All of us.
Yeah.
You know, so you know.
Yeah.
Funny because like when I work, how I work with hair skin is like I reach out, like I took a class, and then 2 days later I took the Max number. I was like, I'm gonna work with you, and he's like, you know, Max is like slow down, too fast, right? And then his accent, you know, is embarrassing. So he's like, give me a call a year later. I was like, sure. A year later I give him a call, and then now I'm working. I'm doing that. So
Which I think is great. Yeah, being persistent on doing something that you are motivated to do.
It's always nice to learn that you're not the only one who's jumped around a bunch, I think, but also the health insurance premiums. I had no idea.
Yes.
I love the sentiment of following your passions, right? People try to put you in a box and you have to follow this path, but you find something that excited you and, you know, drives for you. I think that's a good lesson for everyone.
Yeah. I love this one. We should make it a lot bigger in Cleveland.
I love what you two said about like never stopping with your education, because there's times that I feel really burned out where I'm not like enjoying it anymore. And I think I start to feel like that when I haven't learned something new lately. So like, if you ever feel like you're at the top of where you could go and you have nothing else to learn, like that's the highest you'll ever go. So you really cut yourself off at that point. If you ever start to think like that.
It's funny because one student, he asked me, like, Mr. Theo, like, are you busy in 2026? I was like, well, I'm not looking at 2026 anymore. I'm looking for 2027. Because 2026 is already booked, already like, you know, like, whatever. Now my goal is what's going to happen in 2027. You know, like, just keep pushing yourself into the limit. So you see what you're doing.
I think Alexa touched on something, and I think you're probably a bit like a creative, you know, and I feel like it's hard to like commit to just one thing when you have a creative, you know, a little flow to you, and it's like I like so many different elements of, you know, art and not wanting to like pigeonhole yourself into things. So I will say I give you a lot of credit. You knew you wanted to do updos, like that's, you know, I'm sure you do other creative things too on the side, I would think. Maybe. It's enough for you. She just challenges herself constantly by like sculpting, you know? But I think it is hard in the industry to not just want to stay stagnant in one thing. And I do think that like when you do have a passion in something, I do think the money will follow. I think, you know, it's not just talent, it's when people start seeing your passion for something that gets them excited, and, you know, I think that's helps my success, I think, in particular. It's just being passionate about it. But, you know, it is hard when you want to keep changing things up, but you have to commit to something in order to see it through. But
one point too to touch on to that a little bit is like that helped me so much is I think sometimes some certain salons, it's like a toxic culture where if you like take all that in and you're just wrapped up in this negativity of like, you know, this is as far as you'll ever go, but think about who in the industry inspires you. Like, what would be your absolute dream of what you could do in this industry, and try to put yourself in a room in any way you can with people that are doing what you want to be doing.
I agree with you.
So that's really how I learned like everything I know, and there's a few people in the industry I could literally credit everything I have to. They gave me a chance and they let me into that room with them, but I wouldn't have been there if I hadn't asked. So if there's something that you want, ask for it, because no one's just going to hand it to you.
I think it's so important to focus on why you put yourself in the place that you're in the first place, because oftentimes it's easy to lose sight of that. We can get frustrated when we're complacent, you know, when you're doing the same thing over and over again. And a lot of times it's frustrating for us when someone shows their frustration with the work that we do. One thing that I did learn while I've been doing this, while I've been in the position that I'm in, is that you can't make everyone happy all the time. And yeah, I'm one of those people pleasers where it's really important for me to make every person I come in contact with happy with what I do. And essentially it's impossible. You can't do that. And it's really important to take a step back, realize why we're doing this. And it's really not for everyone else, it's for you. Why did you do it in the first place? You know, and then, you know, come to the realization that making everyone happy all the time isn't possible, but just do the best that you can, because that's what you set out to do, right?
Love that. They all got some one-star reviews out there. Myself included.
somebody in the industry warned me a long time ago. They said, how do I find balance? And everybody listened in, they're like, oh my God, here's the secret, and they said, there is no balance. Like, I hate to tell you, something will always suffer. You know, I can't say that I ever give my work 100% because I still have a family, but there are times where I'm at work, I am choosing my work, unfortunately, over my family because I have to, you know. The next week, my family might get more time, but I don't ever beat myself up feeling like I'm not finding this perfect balance because I just have come to the acceptance that it does not exist, you know. And I was just telling Alexa, like, your dreams and your goals, they shift based off of your circumstances, you know. Life is constantly changing, so what you thought you wanted 5 years from now might not even be your dream. So it's, again, just don't beat yourself up, just go at your own pace, and the success will come, and, you know, you'll make the time for it.
And success looks different
For sure.
for every person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also, one more thing, I think there's a fine line between creating that feeling of success for yourself while making people happy, and then actually stepping back and making things happen on your own terms. You know, there's a lot of times that people are like, oh, I'm totally burned out. And it's because they're trying so hard to make it work for everyone else, but they forget, you know, the light at the end of the tunnel can only be reached by yourself. You know, you're the only one that's going to take you there.
And that's when you need to go get a lymphatic massage.
Yeah.
If you're not putting yourself first, you know, and taking that step back and saying, hey, I need a break, you're just going to burn yourself out. And that's where I see so many stylists, barbers, and people in the industry making mistakes, is that they're really not focusing on what needs to be done in order to take care of themselves before they take care of everyone else. Because essentially, that's what we do. We take care of people, right? And they rely on you to make them feel better. But you gotta take, no one's gonna take care of you, right? Take care of yourself first, everything else will fall in line.
But also, mistakes are necessary. Failure is not the opposite of success, it's part of success. So you gotta hit those road bumps to get to the light at the end of the tunnel.
Awesome. Well, let's have a cocktail. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. But yeah, let's, you know, we still have some drinks. If you guys want to hang out, if you want to have one-on-one conversations, that's awesome and available.
And let's thank Kate for putting this together.